Welcome to Authentically Found, a show that focuses on beachcombers, mudlarkers, detectorists, hunters, collectors, diggers, scavengers, assemblagers, salvagers, and other object aficionados. I'm your host, Warren Beal, and I'll be your guide as we discover the world around us through the everyday objects that color our world. In this episode, I will be talking with artist, author, and historian Al Goreman near his home in Louisville at the Falls of the Ohio State Park. We will discuss plastic, site specificity, history of the Ohio River as the border between Indiana and Kentucky, and much more.
Basically have been coming down here and just improvising projects for a number of years to give people permission to be creative, because as I said, the evolving thesis here is that we have sublimated our own innate creativity to become consumers. Mm-hmm. And you see the crap all around us, right? All of this stuff, and so I felt I needed to sort of engage those materials more directly. And this place is so full of these things, but it's also full of history and full of myth, and so it becomes a really kind of perfect stage or platform or gallery even for me, where I can put my art in the context of life. All of these things are disposable. What I find kind of interesting too, in a kind of Joseph Beuys kind of way, is that these things are what they're made out of too, and I find that really kind of interesting. Plastic is, it's not only a material; it's also a definition.
Expand more on what you mean by that.
Plastic is the ability to form things, and this is the consummate material.
Yes,
we can't even imagine our lives without it.
No, at this point now, you wouldn't be able to completely do away with plastic. Like the benefits that we derive from it may outweigh the environmental costs of that material, which doesn't break down. It doesn't degrade naturally.
It's so cheap, I saw a National Geographic article, maybe 15, 20 years ago, and they took a contemporary American middle-class house and removed everything that was plastic inside of it, and it was like the whole house. We can't even imagine it. I find a lot of toys. I have incredible toy nostalgia. I had great toys.
Same.
My Dutch grandfather, born in Amsterdam, worked at a toy import business, and so whatever the latest toys from Hong Kong were the kinds of things I was getting to play with, right? But here, I have found hundreds of dolls, literally hundreds of dolls. This freaks me out.
Yeah.
It's like, of all the things, I can understand the ball is the most common thing I'll find, and I find toy cars and trucks and stuff like that, but these dolls just freak, it's like a little hand sticking out of the sand, and I'm freaked out, right? It's like, because there's a momentary shock of recognition that occurs. And then before you realize, it's out of scale, it's fake plastic, whatever,
What initially attracts you to the objects that you choose to pick up, why it is that you pick them up, and then pass on other objects? What is it initially that catches your eye about them?
Most of the times it's formal qualities, shape, color, things like that. But sometimes, if I find something provoking, and I have a kind of mixed reaction to it, that might make me linger and pay more attention to it. But yeah, it's just the diversity of the material. My friends ask me, it's like, well, why don't you work with the wood here? I think of myself kind of like anti-Goldsworthy. I respect what he does tremendously, but where we differ is that my practice is, it is extremely local. He's traveling all around the world, going to pristine places. Mm-hmm. I'm doing the reverse. I'm working only in one place. In fact, people said, why don't you do this in other places? And I said, no, this is the parameters, this is the structure of this for me here. I'm going to use what I can find here to create what works, but I've got the internet. And so I can act locally and then throw my stuff online, and I've published over 50,000 images from here over 20 years, through my blog and through Instagram. One of the reasons it looks like I live out here is because I might come, particularly after the river goes down, and spend 4 or 5 hours, and I've got hundreds of images. I'm not really as interested in collecting the objects as I am the images, because ultimately that's where my art is, because it's ephemeral. It doesn't exist. It almost is it becomes a kind of you have to believe it ever existed in a way. How do you know I didn't fake this or whatever? There's an aspect of that environmental art, like Smithson's spiral jetty, when these things are located in places that you'll never go to, more than likely, but you have to trust that the artist put it out there, right? In a sense. I mean, that's what I like about the photography aspect too. I don't do anything fancy with photography. It's just documentation. I know how to compose a picture and make an image, but I'm collecting photographs as much as I'm collecting the crap.
Some people think that new things can't be discovered, that we cannot find anything that hasn't already been done. And if you think that, you must not be an artist.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I go through life with the feeling of that there are so many possibilities. That there's so much potential in everything